Today was a good day to be an ape, and I want to tell you exactly why. Today you had thousands, tens of thousands of people tune in to a court hearing about finance. A year ago, my friends, I was spending that much time just watching anime. I watched Attack on Titan through 10 times, but instead, you have people who are giving attention and give a shit about what is happening in the US financial system. Tens of thousands of people tuned in to the Citadel versus SEC hearing regarding a new practice taking place in the stock market called delimit orders. If you do not know what delimit orders are, this is essentially the idea of being able to prevent latency arbitrage, which is taking advantage of technology and time that is not available to every investor on planet Earth. And what you have here is Citadel, who does not agree with this delimit order, which prevents latency arbitrage, who sued the SEC, right, because of the fact that they want to continue with that practice, despite the fact that every other big market maker within the US financial system said nothing about it. And what happened today is phenomenal. I want to talk about a couple different concepts here, but the most important thing to me is that people give a shit. You had so many regular, everyday, individual retail investors that came to listen to this because they want to know what's going to happen in the financial system. And that, my friends, is progress. I cannot understate how important it is that many people care about what is happening with other people's system, right? Now, the most interesting thing to me is this. Citadel being a big party, a big firm in which a lot of fingers have been pointed at for some problems that have come over the last 10 months. Probably the most problematic being the potential for some sort of connection with the taking away of the buy button back in January with securities like AMC, GameStop, BlackBerry, Bed Bath & Beyond, yada, 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 a whole list of freaking names, right? They got some fingers pointed at them, and yet they are arguing against something such as latency arbitrage, which is very obviously a predatory practice. And they've claimed things such as, we stand for retail investors. We do not think this is in the best interest of retail investors, but they stand alone. Right? They stand alone. And back in January, by the way, they were the only major liquidity provider that was allowing transactions back in January for securities like GameStop and AMC and blah, blah, blah. And you go on and on and on and on and on with the list. And that is not a coincidence. The fact that these guys are so powerful that they can control that much liquidity that every other major market maker could not put up liquidity to fill transactions is a problem. And this is a problem. And the most impressive thing that came from this hearing, my friends, as they admitted to, not at least present day, although I would argue against, that 10 to 12 years ago, they have committed to latency arbitrage, the taking advantage of technologies that allow them to fill orders in microseconds ahead of other firms to then go and sell them for that spread on the bid and the ask. Now, let me break this down in a very simple way. What happens here with latency arbitrage? What is Citadel committing to when they practice something like this? Well, what they're doing is they're going on an off-exchange sort of system, such as an ATS, an alternative trading system, and they will buy something taking advantage of that microsecond window where there's something such as stale action, stale quote, right? And with that stale quote, they can go off that off exchange, aka a dark pool, which, by the way, apes have been screaming about for literally months now, and then go and sell that same transaction on a lit exchange or a different off exchange, right? And make money on that spread. Guys, these are the exact things that you've been arguing about with these big players for months. And you were right. And it was said right there that they do those things, that they've done those things. It's out there. It's out there. They said it. They said it clear as day that 10 to 12 years ago. They practiced that. They've committed to it. They've committed to latency arbitrage, which is going in a predatory way to make money with the sort of advantage that regular people do not have. That's a start. And while this hearing would have taken place regardless of whether or not apes gave a shit about what's happening on a day-to-day basis, I think the end state is what's going to be different. I want to tell you why. Because there's noise. Any good change that's ever come in the stock market, in life, in anything, has come with noise, with sacrifice, with pain, with blood. And that's where you guys come into the line, right? Because I like to assume that the majority of people who fight for AMC, who fight for the stock market, for all the same things that I like to believe in, have been hurt. They were maybe a part of when January happened and the buy button got taken away and they lost their investment. Maybe they knew somebody back in 2008 who got taken advantage of by the Lehman Brothers. There's a whole plethora of things that could have compiled to that moment. And people care. And that is what's going to change the end state. The hearing, sure would have happened regardless, but how many people were paying attention to this sort of thing a year ago? How many people would have tuned into an SEC versus any market maker hearing a year ago? A couple hundred? 500, 700. I'll tell you what I would have been doing. I would have been sitting in my bedroom eating goddamn Cheetos and watching Naruto, baby. That's what I would have done. Dragon Ball Z, Attack on Titan, anything. I wouldn't have been paying attention to that. No. But you are now. You are now. And that is what is going to bring change. That's my takeaway. People paying attention to these things and making noise and talking about it, having conversation about the problems that are very clearly laid out in front of us in legal documents and hearings like this are what drive the change. So what now, right? What now? As a holder of AMC, right? As somebody who believes in a squeeze, and somebody who believes in a more fair market, and somebody who believes in the people on my left and my right who wants a better future for everybody, I think apes need to focus on the problem at hand. What caused January? What caused the buy button to be taken away in January? Who was selling on the way down when the stock was halted? Who was buying those sell orders? There had to have been somebody, right? Who was buying during the short sale restriction on the down ticks? Who was doing these things? What are the answers? What happened between Robinhood and Citadel back in January? Who were the big players involved back in January? Why was retail stolen from? What caused the theft? Why was the buy button taken away? These are the things we need to know, right? Fixating on the day-to-day price action, fixating on the day-to-day short interest, right? Those are all important things for the very immediate future. If you're trying to trade AMC, sure, have at it. Focus on it. Do that if you'd like. I want the catalyst. The catalyst that's going to drive a squeeze for the stock. Because if you don't think the answer would drive the squeeze, you're looking at it with your eyelids shut. I'm telling you that right now. Right? You got to think big picture here. I should be wearing my eye patch, but I'm not looking at my screen, so it's all good. But regardless, that would drive a catalyst. It would also drive change, which ultimately fights for a better market for yourself and for those to come, for your family, for your friends, maybe your future kids. These are things that matter, and you got to think of it that way when approaching this situation. I want to know what happened in January, because that is going to open the conversation up to real systemic change, a real chance for what I think is going to be the squeeze, the MOAS. This is a beautiful start. This is a stepping stone. This is a great place to really get the direction moving, my friends. And that's my takeaway from today, right? It got people jacked because it's confirmation to the exact things we've been talking about. Dark pool abuse, right? Latency arbitrage, being able to take advantage of tools that everyday regular people do not have. You have Citadel arguing about it right now, suing the SEC over it because they want to continue on. This is how I'm going to close out this video. If they're arguing over microseconds of advantage, latency arbitrage, microseconds, that's got to be the tip of the iceberg, the top 1% of this iceberg. I want to know what's on the bottom. What's the chunk? What's that 99%? And if you want to know the answer to that, you already know. You already know what you got to do. You got to know the answers to what happened in January. Much love, my friends. Catch you later. Peace.